Razma, a pair who I was quite surprised to see had met 4 times, and they've shared the victories in those meetings.
Yeah, it didn't really surprise me that they shared. I'm just surprised they played that many times, to be honest. Chris Dobey's apparently changed. He was looking at changing his setup anyway. He was originally looking at the stems and the flights being changed, but apparently he's changed the barrel, which seems a more integral part of the setup.
Well, first of all, he might have had to change them had his luggage not arrived, because that happened again to Chris Dobey, who I don't know what he's doing. I think he's checking his bags in wrong somehow, because this doesn't happen.
Is he even bringing a bag? Does he think you just get on a plane and somebody gives you a bag full of stuff at the end of it?
Yeah, sometimes
you have to bring one.
When things continue to go wrong and there is a common denominator, you have to start asking questions. But Dobey's luggage always eventually makes its way to him. It's the darts, as you mentioned. Well, the barrels that have changed. That is the dart, really, isn't it? That he's changing, more grippy.
Chris, you require 164.
As he tries to get an early grip on this first round clash.
$44.
Well, still very much in charge of this one. Minimum 140 needed for Madars. And that's not going to happen.
125. Chris, you require 120.
Shanghai shots to get the game going.
$80.
Just over the top, but he will return with 3 clear at that target.
Madars, the first Latvian player ever to make a PDC ranking final on the tour. He's beaten by Max Hopp in that final.
Under pressure now, the Bedlington man. He hasn't yet bedded the double. But he has now.
The first leg. Second leg.
Razma has reached a
game on.
Final, as we mentioned, but he hasn't made it to the final day of a European Tour event yet. That is something that he'll want to try and put right sooner rather than later.
Yeah, every time we see him put a really good display in on the Euro stages, he just doesn't seem to be able to sustain it next game, the next day, does he? I remember in Copenhagen last year, he played fantastic. He was the best player in the first round, and then it was just a collapse the following day. I think against Joe Cullen, although Cullen did play very well against him. But he has got it in his locker to hit a lot of those and register some big numbers as Madars Razma.
Yeah, he beat some respectable names in qualifying for this tournament. A 6-2 win against Ron Meulenkamp was followed by a 6-1 victory against Dirk van Duivenbode. And then he edged out Martin Schindler in the last leg decider, denying the home crowd another
62
German hopeful in the tournament. Chris Dobey beat Sean Carroll and Nathan Rafferty, dropping just 2 legs in those couple of matches.
Yeah, Nathan Rafferty in particular has played some good darts of late, so you know, it's still a game where Dobey is the favourite. He's a more experienced player, high in the rankings and everything, but
it's high time that Chris Dobey just had a good run somewhere and confirmed his place in major tournaments.
Yes, but we have been saying that for a few years.
Yes, we have.
Again, he's just on the cusp of a spot at the end.
Teetering on the tightrope.
Teetering on a tightrope that he inevitably falls off, usually the last weekend of qualifying.
Some razzmatazz. Not on this occasion, and Dobey might be laying down a safety net in this match.
87. Chris, you require 40.
We couldn't find it in the last leg.
Game
but
Sean,
this time he pins it dead centre. And Dobey doubles his lead with a break and throw, and it's all going very, very well for Hollywood early on. You mentioned the winner does take on Daryl Gurney. This match started
119.
Well, the previous match ended with some strong views. Let's get your strong views on what happened last night in the Premier League, Dan, when Gurney took on Gerwyn Price.
Well, I thought it was fabulously entertaining stuff, first and foremost. I thought it was actually one of the best games we've seen this year in any competition, where Gurney's finishing was incredible. Gerwyn Price was the aggressor in most of that game in more ways than one, and yet I don't think did anything wrong, not that I could see. Daryl is obviously of a mind that he was up to some tricks up on stage, and these two are guys who have fallen out before. They've fallen out on the Euro Tour, but they're mates actually. They get on. They've been sharing car journeys and all sorts of stuff to and from venues. Gurney had got but also what you have to factor into this, these are two guys who've never made the playoffs before. It's one of the highest profile events in this sport that they both love and are trying to make their way. They're both in the top 10, looking to make the playoffs for the first time in their career. It means a lot to them, and that was a straight shoot, or what looked to be a straight shootout for a spot in the playoffs, or at least the most likely person to progress. Now, it meant a lot. There was a lot riding on it. Don't want to see people having fist fights and being separated on stage, but it didn't get to that in the end. I actually thought it was great to watch.
145.
And I think it was all just a bit silly, the stuff at the end, but very entertaining.
And in terms of the second round here, the winner of this play is Daryl Gurney, who, I mean, we've not heard from him yet. I'm not sure how he feels, whether he felt like he somehow let himself down last night. A good time to play.
133.
I'm not so sure, you know. He's been playing some very good stuff lately as Dobey looks at 41, and it's double 16 for a 3-0 lead.
Game
and
shown
Madars Razma is very much second best at the minute against Chris Dobey. I did speak to Daryl. He flew in at a similar time to me this morning, and he just seems his normal self, pretty calm. He wasn't, still not particularly happy about what he perceived as Gerwyn Price's antics last night. But Daryl Gurney has said himself, this is the Professional Darts Corporation, not the Professional Dating Corporation. They're here to play darts and win money and make careers. They're not here to be busy mates and shack up in a hammock on Love Island together. So crack on, lads. Just don't punch each other, for crying out loud.
I was given the wrong information.
88.
We'll get the Paul Nicholson view. And he returns to the box for the next match, which is Dragutin Horvat against Gavin Carlin. The winner of that taking on the Iceman in the second round.
Well, at the minute, it is looking very much like Chris Dobey is going to be the man taking on Daryl Gurney in the second round, because Madars Razma needs to find something and find something quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for paying attention, Madars.
As if by magic, something appears.
And it should be noted that their last couple of games have both been 6-5, one way, one the other way. So they have been close.
Unlike that, Chris Dobey has left himself on the big fish.
75.
And it could really hurt, but even if he doesn't take it out, the chance that he might come back.
Ooh, not going to happen.
100. Matters who require 118.
I'm going to come back to darting catchphrases in a moment, Dan. He's gone the Steve West route here.
98.
I still maintain that Steve West is not
70.
best, but he did get a dart for the leg at the outer ring, which is what he wanted. Dobey wants one at the outer ring, and it's double 16.
He loves it down here.
Game shot and a full
and he
flag.
finds it for a 4-leg lead. Yes, I was sat at home, feet up, enjoying the action last weekend, and I heard that you coined a new darting catchphrase.
Which one?
Was it the dead cat?
Ah, yeah. Yeah, well, I think this is. I think it's a genuine shot that doesn't have a name up until now. It's that one where your opponent is on a checkout, and you throw a shot that logically you wouldn't normally go for. Like you would hit a 180 to leave an odd number, or or leave yourself on a weird double, which either it's getting the crowd involved or it's trying to grab your opponent's attention just to try and knock them out of their stride. It's like chucking a dead cat into the room as a distraction. It's the dead cat shot.
No need for any of that from Dobey in this match.
57.
Top performer of the day is Nathan Aspinall. That was 103 average. Dobey could yet get there, but he's going to have to just power through and win this game in a half a dozen visits from here.
That one dart at the end of the 118 combination is the only one that Razma has been allowed to double in the entire match. Needs a treble here. Can't find one. Dobey has half a dozen from 130.
And it's the consistency that Dobey has just ground away at Razma. Razma's had a couple of 180s, a couple of 140 plus scores. Dobey hasn't had a single maximum, and yet he's picking up a treble each visit, or in that case a bullseye. And it means that it's giving him chances of going out in 5 visits to the board pretty much every time.
40. Chris, you require 40.
Here we go again then.
Game shown the 5th leg.
In 5 visits, Chris Dobey leads 5-0.
Game on.
The average is right up there with Nathan Aspinall's right now. We saw him win 6-1 against Kim Viljanen with an average just a shade under 103. Very impressive from the UK Open champion. Dobey is right there with him. Of course, it's just about getting the W next to his name. That's the most important thing, and this would be the most comprehensive result for either man against each other in their 5 meetings, including this one. Look at him, he keeps on firing in 1 or 2 trebles. He's not hit a single 180. Madars is, but look at that. More than the 130 plus scores, more than the 90 plus scores. The first 9 average for Chris Dobey, significantly higher because he's consistently having, you know, he's not having scruffy visits.
Yeah, well on the way to being the best performer of the day so far.
Why didn't he get these darts sooner, Murph?
100.
Certainly seemed to be doing the trick, and is on the cusp of the first whitewash win of the European Darts Grand Prix 2019 edition. A tournament which Dobey has only appeared in once before, a couple of years ago, and he lost to Steve West in the first round. Happier hunting this evening.
31.
Well, he left 130 in the last leg, and all he did was lay up because that's all he needed to do. Here, he's going to have to go and try and take it out.
100.
Madars doesn't think that's enough because the way Dobey's going, you expect him to get 1 treble, and that'll give him a match dart. That's exactly what's happened.
99.
Probably the worst dart at double he's had all game.
Madars require 108.
No guarantee that Razma will get a dart at double from this position. And he hasn't. And he's only had 1 in the whole match.
Chris, you require 31.
And if Dobey can hit 1 with one of these 2 darts, then he does win 6-0. And he has won 6-0. And that is a very, very impressive performance from Chris Dobey. 103.66 the average in the end, a shade over.